Hey, Redcasters, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Go Big Red.
I just did I went for a full hour with the team, right? We're not playing losing. I think I believe there's three stages. There's eliminating losing football, and then you play winning football, and then eventually you want to play championship football. I think we're playing winning football, and so we've got to get to championship football. The worst special teams performance I've had in a long time. The worst. I told the offense a lot of them have to pick their intensity up to his level, not the other way around. He's trying to throw the ball to guys that are supposed to be in certain places and they're not there. He's at a whole other level, and those other guys better pick it up. That's said respectfully and with love. But Dylan's doing a great job. I need everyone else to understand that, if a freshman knows all 120 plays in the game plan, then as a junior, I better know all 120 plays or 80 plays, whatever's in the game plan. I better know them. We've won the turnover battle 2 games in a row. It's the number one thing that I care about. I felt like we were the more physical team on Saturday. We did not have the execution at the level I wanted it to, so got to keep improving that. It was a game that we played 1-0 that I expected the game to go that way. I expected us to score 40 points in that game and hold them to about 10. That was my prediction of going into it. I thought that's where the game was, and that's no disrespect to them. I think they're a really good team. I just felt like we matched up well against that team. So we have to improve because there's other teams we're playing, like this type of team that we're playing this week, this physical. How are we going to match up against those teams? We play 2 spread teams. Now it changes. And how do we match up against teams that want to run the ball like we want to run the ball? I hate it. If it's up to me, we play at 9 o'clock in the morning. Kegs and eggs and football. Let's go.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast, the Husker Fan Sports Show.
Welcome to the Go Big Redcast. How you doing, Mac?
Dude, doing all right, man. Been a great week. Been a week of just lapping up a victory. I think we've earned this kind of time in our life, and so I've just kind of been digging through the socials, kind of getting out there on the foreign pods and just eating it up, man. I mean, again, it's the team's job to move forward to the next team, and I fully expect them to do that. I am here to bask in the wreckage that they left. So that's kind of what I've been doing. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to do a little film breakdown. I mean, it's just all feel good stuff right now, ladies and gents. We have been waiting for back-to-back wins for quite some time to do this, especially at the start of a season. So yeah, we're just going to get into it. How have the ladies ended up right now?
So it is Nebraska's up 1-0 right now in the 5th set. Yeah, we were going to wait till the end of the game, but this game apparently is the longest game in the history of volleyball. So we need to, we also have to
I got class tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we're going to get up and go to work and stuff. So, we need to go. Hopefully we can beat this CU just like we beat CU on Saturday night there. Mac, before we get into that, a couple little promotions here. For one, on Thursday night, we have the Husker Huddle, and Redcast Abby, she's going to have Amy Just from the Lincoln Journal-Star, sports columnist, is going to be on with her. And also the Nebraska Oktoberfest at Stinson Park, Omaha, Nebraska, September 21st at 12 p.m. That is the Saturday of the weekend where we play Illinois on Friday night. So you're not missing Husker football by going to Nebraska Oktoberfest, Stinson Park, Omaha, September 21st at 12, featuring the Barry Boyce Band, Andy Kritz and the Polka Tunes, and the Rascal Martinez Band, Mac.
Man, polka is so good after a victory, too. You're going to want a polka.
It's the best.
You're going to want a polka. It's just out there hooking elbows with people you barely know. An accordion never sounds better.
Oh, call was reverse. 0-0 again. And now it's 1-0. All right. Thank you, Anthony, for the
Tony, that was fast work there, buddy.
Perfect, Tony. All right. Well, we're going to do a film session, a little bit different one than the kind we did last week. But first, before we get to there, let's look at some of the social media and everything that's going on since the game. And we're just going to kind of go through some of our favorite ones here. This was Husk Guys, and you got to love that. By the way, Husk Guys, the tailgate that we did, Mac.
Yeah, super cool. I don't know why I didn't expect to see them, and then I saw them. I was like, this is kind of surreal.
Super cool. Corn Craze, Corn Nation, Jim in Minnesota, Brett Ciancia, Pick Six Previews, of course, the Husk Guys. Great crew of people there. Omaha Steaks, the No Block, No Rock guys, Nebraska Brewing. It was an awesome tailgate there. So thanks, everyone that was there.
It's always weird when the internet comes to life.
Yeah.
These 2D images get their third dimension. It's like, holy heck. You're a real person. I don't know. But this little post of
Oh,
theirs,
the Husk guys here.
I love what they're doing. By the way, that shot, if maybe that is Prince Wells' profile pic, but if it isn't, it should be. That's the greatest picture I've ever seen.
So, Mac, explain it to the people that'll be listening to the show.
Okay,
tomorrow.
so we are all very aware of Shadur's flexing his watch stance that he likes to take because he grew up rich and he's proud of that. And I guess I would be too if my dad was prime. But then in the picture right next to it, it's Umam and Yellen doing the exact same pose with Shadur's laying on his back in the foreground. It just in the lighting on Prince Wells is so good. It's just great work. That one, and then on top of it, it says how it started over Shadur's, and then how it's going over Prince Wells. And then my favorite thing might be Nash in the background, looking all big and nasty. And you remember that picture of Terry Keneally when he was sacking the Miami quarterback, and his T-shirt ripped off. It said "Nasty, Fat, Nasty."
Yeah.
We need to get those back for them boys. Those '94 team was there. They should have had a couple of those left.
I would think so. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think what this is it was a fun social media day after the game, the last couple of days. Yeah, days. But also on top of that, and this goes back to kind of what our heading for the entire show is: raucous, respected, and ranked again. The respected part and the ranked part there is that we are number 23 in the country. But look at some of here. I'm going to just go through some of these national posts here. Pick Six previews, Brett Ciancia. Nebraska was the center of college football universe Saturday night. It was absolutely electric all night. Here's video of the third and fourth quarter.
That was sick.
Oh, I mean, that was awesome. Here's Joel Klatt. And I don't think people are ready for Nebraska to be Nebraska again. Played there twice. If this actually gets this thing going, Lod. Now, dude, are we cool again? Not me as in honky cool, but like, is Nebraska football suddenly cool again?
It would appear as though now I bristle at this a little bit, because I've always felt like we were cool.
Sure,
just underperforming, and actually that's what it is. But what Rule's doing, what whoever's running the stadium right now, knocking it out of the park. It also helps having a 5-star quarterback at the helm. It also helps when you get to take another team's hype and use that to make a showcase of your own program, which we just did.
Mm-hmm.
And capitalize in that moment. Yeah, we're cool. We've been cool. It's been like this. We've just got a team to celebrate now. And as soon as the nation gets to see this a little bit more, and when I say the nation, I mean these young recruits out here, they're going to get paid the same money here as they are anyplace else. And we're in as big a conference as anybody else. And we've got as hot a quarterback as anybody else. And what we have differently, though, is this fan base. That's not anywhere else. That's a very few specific places and very few this hungry and are willing to embrace some young kids being stars. I just don't know why, if I was a top 100 player, I wouldn't be taking a seriously long look at Lincoln, Nebraska.
Well, I'm going to jump around a little bit here on some of the tweets that I saved here. But speaking of the recruits, here was Christian Jones from last night throwing the bones. And
I never know if this means yes. I was like, did he say yes? And then I go searching for you.
Yeah, you go to the very end. There he is. He's throwing the bones. But how about that? Just fast forward.
Suspense over. He's coming to Nebraska.
Just fast forward to the end, right? No, it's there are a lot of recruits are there. I think that this was an unbelievable night to have recruits in the stadium
for sure.
I mean, this goes back to, we had Joel Klatt. Here's Kirk Herbstreit. This is incredible. Stuart Mandel. I'm so here for 10-win Nebraska. Travis Hunter. He goes, that environment was top 10. This is what he said on his the Travis Hunter show on TikTok. That environment was top 10. I couldn't even think to myself how loud it was. I mean, it left an impression on players. It left an impression on national media. It left an impression on fans. It left an impression on recruits. And I think on top of all that, so Nebraska's, now we're back, right? And we say that a little tongue in cheek, 2 weeks into the season, we're back. But if we are back and people that haven't seen us for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years, they haven't paid attention and they thought that we fell off the side of the cliff, and all of a sudden they see that the facilities that we have. They see that stadium. They see that third quarter to fourth quarter there. And then they see the facilities that just got built with the Osborne complex. And we're back. Well, we have an amazingly strong foundation of a program. We just haven't been good on the football field for
Well, and then
7 years, 8 years, 10 years, however long you want to say it.
it makes total sense too, because we have fallen off in terms of wins and losses. That automatically takes the national attention away from you.
Mhm.
And so people people have short memory in this sport. And in 10 years is a long time. And people do forget what kind of fan base we actually have and what kind of facilities we actually have and the amount of effort this whole state puts into making this program good. But we haven't had the wins. As soon as the spotlight gets turned back on the Nebraska, it's not like they just invented this stuff for one game. We've all seen this stuff before.
Mhm.
This isn't for this game alone. I know it looks like that, and maybe it seems like that to the nation, but this light show has been done before. This drone show has been done before. We just don't win the games like we're supposed to.
Yeah, they just haven't been nationally televised games like that. Theo here, Hunter School compared to Shadur. I know you were saying that before we started, or you thought you liked Hunter. You were just totally impressed with him.
And we'll get back to this when we watch the game. But I was very prone to disliking Travis Hunter and not and wanting to bust his game up and blah blah blah. But I won't do it. The kid's he's really really good. He's really really good, and we still beat him pretty handily.
Tony keeping us up with the volleyball. We're up 6-2 right now in the 5th set. So keep going, Huskers. We go back to, what was different about that game versus the last 5, 6, 7 years in terms of who watched it. How national was this? Well, the Nebraska-Colorado game on Saturday night drew 6.3 million viewers. It's the most watched Big Ten Saturday night game since the series started in 2023. In fact, it's the first Big Ten Saturday night game on NBC to exceed 5 million viewers. A historic night in Lincoln. So 6.3 million. First one to exceed 5 million.
What was Texas, Michigan, I wonder?
Yeah, that's a good question. It wasn't NBC, but
no, I know, but I just shared.
That's a good question there. Some of the other getting respect or getting back into being ranked.
Know that actually? I bet somebody doesn't.
Yeah, if anyone knows what the ratings were for the Michigan-Texas game. Now, that was an earlier game, so
it should be higher. I'm just curious how it compared.
Just the game itself, yeah. Again, Tony Hayek, 7-3, keeping us up to date. But here, so we look at the black shirts here. They posted Andy Staples college football playoff bracketology, and here we are 2 weeks in, Mac. 2 weeks. How quickly can things change? And you go through it, and here, who's listed in the first 4 out? Oregon, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, and Nebraska.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We went from not being ranked and all the issues that we've talked about all offseason to 2 weeks into it, we're the first 4 out.
What's that mean?
Nothing. It means nothing right now.
No, I mean like first 4 out. Does that mean we're the next 4 up?
Yeah, we'd be the next 4.
Why do they say that? Next 4 up instead of the first 4 out. That's a stupid phrase.
It's kind of a March. It's like a March Madness.
It seems March Madnessy.
Yeah, it does. Here's some respect
first 4 out
from Fox. Take a look at Michael Cohen 13's Big Ten power rankings, and here we are, number 5, moving ahead of Michigan, as we should, by the way.
Oregon hasn't set the world on fire.
Well, so number 1 here is Ohio State. Number 2 is
being cocky about football, bro.
Number 2 is USC. Number 3 is Penn State. Number 4 is Oregon, and then number 5 is Nebraska. And what's interesting about this is we could actually make an argument. You could make an argument that Nebraska should be higher than that, based off of just how they've played in the first 2 weeks. If you were only looking at the first 2 weeks of the season, compared to Penn State, which struggled against Bowling Green, compared against Oregon, who struggled against both of the Idaho schools they've played so far, you can make that argument. Now, we tweeted out, you could make the argument, I'm not going to, or I sure as heck didn't just do it right there, by the way. That's not me arguing it. It's way too early in the season. Who cares, right? I mean, it's two weeks in. It doesn't matter. But it's just the fact that this is how quickly things are changing. Jeffrey the Greek with Eyes on Big podcast. He has us as his 4th. He has us ahead of Oregon there. So
that's I would say it's coin flippish.
If you're only basing it on the first 2 weeks, we've played about as well as anybody in the conference, save for probably Ohio State and I'm guessing USC as well. Yeah. 2 teams that we get to play later in the season on the road. All right, Tony, keep them coming. We are up 9-4. Huskers are up 9-4 right now. 5th set. Let's take down Creighton. Let's go. Let's see. What else we got here? Coming up, the 400th sellout. They announced that today. There is no place like Nebraska. There never will be. Next Friday night's game against Illinois will officially mark the 400th consecutive sellout at Memorial Stadium. Wasn't really a concern of mine coming into today, but it's just the announcement is
Totally
there
not a
officially.
concern now, is it?
No, and I don't think that we're going to have to worry about a lot of sellouts here coming up if this team keeps playing the way they have been.
And all the night games.
It's crazy. Night
I
this
do
weekend.
not care for them, and it's not because of what Rule said. It's because I work at nights. This sucks. It sucks for the people that I work for. It sucks for the people around me. I'm no good at work, and I like 11 o'clock games. I know that's unpopular. Wildly, or even 2:30. 2:30 is fine.
Well, and let's end with the social media here with one from Corn Nation, and this will get us into talking about the Colorado game, the actual the play of the game. And here Corn Nation says, "Help me make this better." And it's just a collage of photos of us getting held left and right. I mean, here's Kai Wallen, there's
that
Nash.
one on Nash. He's across his face mask and grabbing his shoulders.
Ty Robinson, both Nash and Robinson just
look at
were
this one. I
dominant.
never saw that one. The one,
Prince Wells
Singleton?
getting torn down here, and Robinson's got an arm around him. I mean, it was like that. And what's so frustrating is, okay, fine, you didn't call that. Big deal. As long as you don't turn around and call everything on us.
Yeah.
And all we ended up having in that second half was just a cavalcade of those.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
thanks. Yeah. Bad calls against us. Bad, holding calls. Calls that were questionable at best, offsides that were close. I was like, how
they were a bad crew, though. I mean, that part is confirmed. They weren't. Colorado wouldn't be bragging about them either.
Mm-mm.
That
made it miserable
against Raiola was bullshit.
It made it miserable for
roughing the passer. Whatever
it made it miserable for both fan bases watching that game.
There's that fourth quarter was unreal. There was a period. It was almost like 4 or 5 flags in a row.
Mm-hmm. Anthony,
insane.
Oh, I see 11-8 right now. It's getting close. So what we want to do here then is let's talk a little bit about the game, Mac. And I guess you've had a couple days to digest it. You've rewatched it. I'm sure I've rewatched it several times as well. You were talking about watching that second half today. What are your thoughts now on it? A couple days later, second half. You even said the second half. You weren't unimpressed with what we did. It was just the outcome didn't lead to points.
After rewatching it, it's a funny thing when you take all the stress of knowing if we're going to win the game out of it. Watching the second half doesn't have near the bad taste in my mouth as it did, because there were plays that were being made. Like there was, for all the talk on the Colorado side, their cope for this week was, well, we shut them down in the second half. We held them scoreless in the second half, and yes, that's true. But those flags, some of them are really bad. And I'm not saying that it makes up for us not scoring. But it just is what it is. But my point is, within those plays, within those penalties, there were some guys making plays. Ramir Johnson's run was a really good run. Ja'Cory Barney's little drag route that Ramir got the hold call for when he pancaked the dude. There's a part of that where they go down. Ja'Cory just does this little leap over that pile. And the second he hits the ground, he bangs it into the right. It almost makes it all the way there. Travis Hunter being a fantastic player. Travis Hunter on that play, who was getting blocked, stayed back long enough to engage with the tackle. Ja'Cory gave him a pretty good stiff arm to the face mask. He still managed to get back up to him and throw him down. That was a damn good play, because I really think Ja'Cory's pretty is it Ja'Cory or Jacoby? I go to school with a Jacoby. Is it? Help me out.
Now you got
I should ask the wrong guy. Ja'Cory.
You're asking Ja'Cory. Yeah, Ja'Cory Barney.
Ja'Cory.
You're asking me a name.
I know that was as soon as I did it, I knew I had failed. I was like,
Bazooka.
There's no life left. Mascow mule. But anyway, like plays like that, guys like that we can really, I think, are going to start making bigger and bigger plays. So there was just some fun stuff to watch in the second half that I after the penalty stopped making me furious. I fully recommend going back and watching. And the defense still played really good. We saw a ton of different dudes back there. I was a little, and even during the game, I think you would agree with me that even though Dowdell got the lion's share of the carries, we still wanted him in more than he was, especially in the first half, actually, when we were scoring. But Ramir had a heck of a game. And if a couple of those penalties didn't go against him, he had a heck of a game. Like, he was running hard, and he's been pretty sudden. He's been reliable in that passing game. Dylan and him clearly have a good chemistry of when he comes out of the backfield, getting him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go too far ahead of myself with the game, but when I look at this offense and I see, it's fun. These games are strange because if you look, it seems almost like the only thing different on our team this year on the offensive side of things is the turnovers, because we still aren't always super efficient running the ball or passing the ball. We still make penalties. We still kind of have some special teams gaffes, and it's things like that keep happening, and yet we're way on the winning end of things.
Yeah. Well, the defense is so solid right now too. I mean, the
defense is unbelievable. But special teams is a wild card on all sides of it. It's a wild card.
As Coach Rule said there in the opening, he said this is the worst playoff or special teams game that he's coached.
And
right,
that includes a blocked field goal.
Yeah.
I mean that we blocked a field goal.
We blocked a field goal.
Still saying it's the worst.
We also punted him down to the 3-yard line. I mean, so we did have some positive notes there, but all right, 13-9. It's 14-9 here. We're going to take a little 5-second here. Keep talking, Mac.
Anyway, yeah.
Oh, there's a challenge. Give me a break.
Of course.
Why wouldn't there be?
And in terms of, can we just talk about the game because I'm already into it? Can we just go with that? Right?
Yeah,
we can do something bigger. But the fact that it was Dowdell and Ramir, and you don't see a lot of Emmett, and you don't see a lot of Gabe Irvin. There's really no reason for anyone to look to read into that too much. I mean, if those guys are up and activated and ready to go, it makes total sense to use those two guys. One is kind of the banger and, kind of every down, but then Ramir, the clear, like third down back. It makes sense to use those guys early in the year and save the hits and save the carries on the other two guys. This is going to be a long season. At some point, one of those two guys will go down. I'm not jinxing shit. That's just how it is. The Big Ten's tough. We're playing.
Yeah.
And if we're going to be a good team, I'm not trying to put the cart before the horse, but at least doing a bowl game. And, and maybe if we're good enough to go to the Big 12 championship game, Big 10, we're going to go through some running backs. So if they're basically models of each other, I mean, you swap out Dowdell for Gabe Irvin, you swap out Emmett Johnson for Ramir. It's like we've got two sets. We're just kind of saving the other one back until the first one gets a little run down, beat up, injured, whatever. Okay, activate the next. It doesn't make a lot of sense to run all four of them, let them take a ton of hits early in the season when you don't need to, and it's costing the rhythm to the other guys. And you're starting to see it. Ramir's running really well right now. Dante he wasn't shy with contact now, was he? And guys were still going low on him. He didn't put the ball on the ground again.
Yeah, he almost did the exact same run they fumbled on against Utah. We're going to show it here in the film. It's the play that hurt Shiloh.
Yeah. Instead of fumbling, he broke the other guy's arm.
Well, and
that's
it's just
positive.
It's how it's positive they didn't fumble it. I mean, it's not that we want to see injuries or anything, but he's a physical runner.
The improvement in terms of a Nebraska outcome.
Well,
goes from not fumbling to breaking the other guy's arm. That's
and what he is
a large swing.
But he's a physical runner, right? Like
the
people against Utah, there are people that are saying he shouldn't be trying to run through people, try to run over people. No, that's how he runs. And guys have to get low and get under him and try to cut him to tackle him. And that's not a fun thing to do.
I think that's how he runs early in the game, so he doesn't do that later in the game. I just don't think we've seen that yet because he hasn't had enough. But I feel like later in the game, him laying the wood early is going to allow him to make some easy jukes and take a big one to the house. That's how that kind of stuff works. You hit them early, they don't want anything to do with you later on in the game, and they olay you. Hell, Travis did that in the first quarter. Yeah. If there was one punk move he made, it was that one where he didn't even take a swing at hitting Dowdell.
Okay, here we can finally say it. Tony, 2-0 against CU schools this week. Nebraska wins the game, so excellent. The volleyball team goes to, I think it's 5-1, 6-1. So
CU's
excellent. Jim says, "Do we respond to comments?" We respond to some.
We just did
have one earlier.
I mean, that was kind of meta.
Do people in the crowd call you Rule Matt? No. There, we answered it. All right, let's get to a little bit of the film session here. And the first play, I'm going to put these on the loop here again. I'm going to call this the offensive play of the game.
Okay.
And it's third and long. It's the first series of the game, and Dylan scrambles with it. And really what it was as much as anything, Mac, is it was for the first time it showed us this season that Dylan is willing to use his legs.
Oh, yeah.
And this adds a whole element to this offense. So a week ago, we win the game, and he has 1 carry, -6 yards. Obviously, it was a sack. Here he is, 3rd and 10. And look how comfortable he is, not only in the pocket, but moving around the pocket. So pocket's kind of getting formed around him. He steps up into it here. Nobody's open, and he doesn't hesitate there.
They all run away
to take
from
off
him.
with. Yeah, they run away from him there. Now, would you like to see him slide here, or what do you want?
Well, yes, particularly because he's even in his post game, he said, I didn't even see that guy coming. Then for sure I want him to slide. I think if he would have saw him coming, he would have protected the ball a little bit better. I think that Dylan's bigger than people think, especially defensive backs.
Yeah.
And when you go to hit him, it actually hurts a little bit more than you think. Now, that being said, I don't want my quarterback getting out there getting smoked by D-backs.
Yeah, I thought this looked like a worse hit on him. And then when they showed the replay from a different angle, it actually looked like he delivered a decent hit too.
Yeah.
I mean,
and let's see. I mean, yeah, he left. He went to go, but he didn't really fall. That he was on the hash. He didn't move much past the hash, and he still moved forward. So, and that's 7. He was a headhunter. He was out there doing work yesterday.
So I think I'm calling this the play of the game because for the offense is because it was early. It extended the drive. We ended up scoring a touchdown on it, but also it can be a thing to come now. It's one more thing that defenses have to prepare for against us is if the quarterback can be mobile enough. He doesn't have to be Adrian Martinez, but if he can be this mobile and move, and they did a lot of rollouts and moving around the pockets just on pass plays, period.
They did that, Matt. But the other thing I thought he did just an excellent job of, maybe you have some film of this, maybe you don't, but there was a couple times some free blitzers came in on him.
Yeah. And
he froze them. He didn't panic. He didn't look to run right away. He kind of froze like he was going to pass and did that little cut out to the back, roll around like good quarterbacks do. Aaron Rodgers does that all the time. Like obviously Mahomes,
sure,
but Josh Allen does that shit. Like those guys that understand what I'm here to do, they get that. And then when he pops it around, does he start running like a maniac? No, he starts looking downfield to make a play. He showed great pocket presence, pocket mobility. He steps up, and the beauty with Dylan is he doesn't need a big windup to get the ball 30 yards down the field. He flicks it and it's good. So he just needs a little extra time to get it out of there. And it just, man, this offense just looks incredibly different with a quarterback who's a quarterback playing quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's not disparaging on Harburg. Different. He'd be better this year too. But Dylan this is kind of how he was raised. It's just kind of to be this guy. He's had all the training, and this has been his path from jump. And you're seeing the difference. It makes a difference.
Next one up here. This is the play where Shiloh does get injured here, but what we're really trying to show on it as much as anything is the first off, the blocking up front here. I mean, there's no pulling. We're going to show this on the next couple plays. We do a lot of pulling with tight ends and all this. This is straight ahead. There's double tights to the right there. They like to put 2 tight ends on the same side, and it was pretty much straight ahead blocking there. And Dowdell just hits a hole, finds it, goes hard, and look, that looks exactly almost identical to the type of tackle and everything a week earlier against UTEP. He just didn't fumble it this time, but again, Dion today even had to, he said that
look how he
Shiloh had surgery on this. I mean, this was a big hit. This is a big hit.
He attacks the line of scrimmage so hard, and he is really good at the quick reads at the line of scrimmage. So he kind of hits the soft spots pretty well. And he has no problem just laying the wood. I don't know how much he should keep doing that, especially when we get to Big Ten play. But we've got 4 running backs. If we got a hammer, if we don't have to use him 22 times, we get to use him 12 times, and he smacks guys around, and then you get Ramir in there running around him. It could work just fine. Yeah,
Medinger, any concern with DR not sliding on that play? We talked about that just a few minutes ago, but in a perfect world, let's we don't have Martinez out there anymore unless you're going for like a game-ending play or what.
Yeah, I don't.
We got to score a touchdown.
If I wasn't clear, I definitely want him to slide.
Yeah,
circumstances matter, and he got the first down. That's all we needed.
Yeah.
He's not
this
Adrian.
isn't, well, it's not Joe Daly running out of bounds at the end of the game either.
Yeah.
I mean, when you need to get the first down, you need to get it. But in that situation, he got what he
Yeah,
needed.
you get 10, you go down right away. I have no problem with that.
Yep.
That's what I prefer.
So now here I have a couple plays back to back, Mac, that are both pulls. So this is one to Ramir. And so the right guard and the tight end on the right side, they both pull. He hits the hole hard behind him and ends up, tough run there, goes for 11 yards. Now this play, it's the opposite direction. It's Dowdell this time, and this is the one for the touchdown. And at the very end, as much as we talked how much we liked Hunter, you will see not the greatest effort by Hunter here right at the end zone to make a tackle.
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, no.
Yeah. I mean, at that point,
that is hilarious.
Business decision. But so here's the first one. This is
and to their
Ramir.
wide receiver's credit, not hitting him like behind or making some stupid penalty and realizing, hey, Travis ain't going to make this play. I'll just let it happen. That was great.
So this is Ramirez again. Let's go back and we're going to watch each one of these one more time. So here, the left guard and the left tight end pull.
Oh, that's cool.
So left guard ends up actually hitting a lineman that came across. The tight end cuts
that's
up.
Fedoni too.
That's
did
Fedoni.
a great job.
And so look at that. I mean, Dowdell's not getting touched.
Mm-mm.
He's not getting touched here. So that's going to the right. Now let's watch the Ramir run. You have the right guard and the right tight end. Again, I think that's Fedoni as well. Fedoni makes that block. Right off of that is Ramir. Ramir has not been touched yet until now, about 6 yards down the field. And he runs to the first hit, and he's got 2-3 guys that kind of drags for another 3-4 yards, and he's getting a first down on it.
Great run.
So you're seeing a lot of that in this offense. You're seeing a lot of this pulling. Another thing
that's a really cool design. I like that.
It is. Well, another design that you're seeing, and I only picked one play out of this, and it was the long pass to Lloyd that we didn't complete. But here's Lloyd in motion. So he's going in motion, snap the ball, and keep your eye on him in motion. He keeps going. He has reached full speed already as he's cutting up, and that defender's already beat.
Yeah,
I mean, he's beat bad.
It's over.
And honestly, I haven't even looked at why Dillon had so much pressure on him right away there. But even with the pressure on him, which is actually why you had to get rid of the ball so quick, that might be that could be your extra foot on the pass that kept that from going. But
why did he? They must have.
So let's see here. What happens? Top outside backer comes. I wonder if he could be chipped by Ramir there.
Definitely could have chipped him. That would have
even just a little chip there by the running back. But
because Dillon could have drilled it to him then,
more of the reason why I showed it is this motion that you're seeing, and when we're not pulling guys like we were on the last couple of plays, we're doing these motions before every play. And sometimes it's a receiver, sometimes it's a tight end, whoever it is. But it's a lot of eye candy actually for the defense to have to keep an eye on. And then they even had a play, and I didn't keep it for this one, but they had one where earlier in the game where it's Fedoni is going in motion, and they snap it while he's in motion going sideways, just like this one. So he's already picking up speed. He hasn't stopped. He's running sideways, and they snapped it right away and threw it to, I think, Ramir behind him, using him like he's a pulling guard already with a head of steam under it.
Oh, yeah.
It's really close.
Just kind of floated it.
Yeah, he just kind of floated it. And you have a moving, full speed moving guard, essentially tight end in front of you. That's like a lead blocker on the outside.
His blocking,
it's a really interesting
blocking
play.
This year, I feel like, has been phenomenal. I feel like on a lot of our plays that I zone in on, it's always 24 out there moving people around. I can't believe this is yet another year that I was fooled into thinking we were going to throw to the tight ends. But so far, man, I just feel like I've been underwhelmed with the amount of targets they've gotten.
100 tackles like Dion used to, Abby. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't. I think he tackled.
All right, Dion. Nothing but we got some guys in the chat that aren't doing great. That's awesome. Hard to control the chat from up here right now. So
what happened? Oh,
I don't know.
all right.
Anyways, we were talking about blocking though, and this is going to be perimeter blocking. This goes back to a week ago, and we had that one, the little throw out to Fedoni on an RPO, 3rd and 2 against UTEP, and he didn't get it, but it was Banks and Nair just whiffed on their blocks. Well, here's one that quick out pass, throwing it to Banks up on top, and that's Nair again.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you,
Abby, Dion didn't tackle like that.
Yeah, Dion didn't tackle like that.
That guy was 6'4", 220. Dion didn't tackle that guy.
But this is, and rule brought this up in his presser yesterday. So, I mean, this is part of his hour-long conversation that he had with the team. And this is one of the reasons why this team is far from a complete package, and this offense is far from playing,
there's a lot of room.
perfect football.
Pretty...
I mean, the outside blocking in some of these plays here, and unfortunately 2 weeks in where we've highlighted Nair, whiffing. And you're going to get your guys killed doing this.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the real problem.
Travis is a great player, but what exactly did he do that was so phenomenal there? He didn't juke him.
Well,
he didn't do anything. He just ran by him. He didn't even get a hand on him.
Yeah, and that's the second week in a row that Nair
bad effort, bad angle, bad football.
It's a second week in a row that Nair didn't even make contact with the defender.
Yeah.
The
only thing
really
he didn't
the
do was get a hold
anything.
on him because he missed him so bad.
Yeah,
he just let it happen. That's the only good thing he did on that play.
And I think the world in Nair right now he had a huge game against UTEP. He's a very talented receiver out there, but you're a liability if you can't make contact with the corner that's 2 feet away from you.
Well, I mean, if he makes that block, this plays at least 8 yards, maybe more.
There's not another guy for 10, 15 yards, and you'd have Banks, getting a head of steam under him. So, anyways, again, that is exactly the focus that you're seeing with Rule talking about that. I mean, they've got to be able.
It's
to
behind
do a
the
better
line
job
of
than
scrimmage, so they can go attack right away on the blocks. Correct? If the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, the wide receiver can go out and block, can't they?
Yeah. I mean, that's
so. There's no reason that he's doing this crap right here. He should be going out and blasting him.
Yep.
I don't know. That's not a great play. I'm sure it was highlighted today in the film session by the coach. And listen, it's a fix. I feel like that's a fixable thing. I feel like that's something you could, and it's not like we're lacking wide receivers.
Yeah, you could put Bonner out there if you want to have an outside receiver that can be a lead blocker there. Last of the offensive plays, this was an interesting one here. It's third quarter, and it was a 2nd and 24. I think it was right after a penalty. Mm-hmm. So, long distance, and Dylan steps into the pass there, and he finds Borkature across the middle, seam route. Yeah. And this was, again, Rule during the press conference was talking about how he wasn't being conservative. This is an aggressive call. We're getting down the field. We're going to get that first down. And so decent pocket. He steps up into it.
Yep.
Has to step up into it and finds the guy right in the seam and throws a perfect throw.
Face mask guy, just in between the numbers. It's
so
doesn't
simple.
Lead him any more than he should because he needed some space to settle to catch it before the safety
it's
came
so
back into
simple.
play.
If with the exception of we've seen plays like this over the years be thrown to the wrong guy or be thrown over the receiver for an interception or whatever. That when such a simple play actually gets completed, it's a thing. It's
funny
beauty.
too because it looks so wide open by the time he catches it.
Yeah,
but when he chooses to throw it, see, he steps up there. He's even with the linebacker, so he's got to trust that linebacker is not going to float any more back than he is. Get it right over there before he gets into that safety zone. I mean, that's like Rule was talking about today in the presser. That's him knowing the plays and him understanding the offense and knowing where to go with the ball. Clearly that was Borkature understanding the same thing.
Yeah. Well, what did you think of Rule in the presser talking about? He didn't talk about Rayola being a freshman or doing anything to try to protect him as a freshman. He was like, this guy is playing at an elite level. We need other guys to play at his level. He was using Rayola as the standard that the other guys need to step up and play at, and saying that if this kid knows all 80 or all 100 or all 120 plays of that weekend's playlist of that, then every junior sure as hell better and every senior sure as hell better. I mean, it was interesting that he kind of called out some of the other guys on the team that they need to be playing at the level that a freshman is.
Yeah, I text this to you, I think today maybe. It's interesting that if you've noticed in Rule's press conferences, his whole demeanor's changed.
Yeah.
It kind of started with the Colorado game, but it certainly kicked in after the Colorado game. Without throwing shade at Colorado, he managed to say things like, the game was over at half, or we knew they couldn't score. What are you going to do when we get to the Big Ten? Teams are going to be able to score. Like he kind of just kind of saying things like that team was never in contention. At the presser today, I expected to win 40-10. Not saying in a cocky way, but this is just if we were to play the way we were supposed to play, we get to 40-10. He's not talking about the same things he was talking about last year.
Yeah.
He's
There's no
not
doubt about
saying,
that.
it's a process. We're getting these guys up. We're learning. He's not talking about that. He's talking about the football, and you can tell he has a standard for this team. And we're not up to it yet, but we're past the standard of losing football. So this is how I talk about a winning football team. If we're winning football, this is how I am as a coach.
Yeah.
When we're learning to be a winning football team, I talk like this. And when we get to championship level, I imagine there'll be another change. So part of that demeanor change, and this was the first time I'd really heard him. That was the most praise he's heaped on Dylan since he got here. The most. He's always said Dylan's had elite arm talent, but he'd always say it in the same breath that he'd compliment the other quarterbacks or the other guys on the offense. And we got some guys to throw. We got some guys to protect. We got blah, blah, blah. This was him saying he knows every play. His game is this level. Right now, I'm not seeing it from the guys around him, and I'm calling you out for it. He hasn't done anything like that. So that tells you what he thinks of this guy as a quarterback. And it also tells you that he thinks his wide receivers have the potential and just aren't doing it. So it's all good messaging, but man, he's a different coach at the podium. It's a different message at the podium. It's interesting.
Well, before we make the transition to some of the defensive plays that we had, I just want to show a little compilation, 3 plays I put together, and these are called effort plays. And this is part of the culture I think he wants to create. This is that touchdown that Dowdell had here. And we already kind of hit on it a little bit earlier, and I'm going to zoom in on Hunter.
As I walk closer to the TV.
As I just walk, this is very low tech. But here's a play we're going to show here on defense. It's the 4th and 1, but watch Shedeur. Watch the quarterback here. This play isn't even over yet, and sure, he's just walking. He's just walking off the field. I mean, his running back's getting tackled. He's just walking off the field. Meanwhile, here is that one reverse.
Oh, yeah, this is cool.
And again, my little zoom in job here. There's Raiola. There's a quarterback getting in there and sticking his rear in and making an actual block.
That's a decent block. He didn't go anywhere. That was Travis Hunter, too.
Yeah, we have an opponent that, we have their best players. The top 2 guys, they're top 2 Heisman guys, we were told. There's Hunter, and he's quitting on a play.
Yep.
I don't know what play he can make, but at least you try. Yeah. And then here's Shedeur, and we heard all the excuses Shedeur had for why he didn't have why they didn't win a game. But there he is. He's just walking off the field. The play's still going on behind him. What if he fumbles? What if there's an opportunity to jump in there and make a play?
Super true.
No, he doesn't. But there's our quarterback, and here's our quarterback getting in there.
And I'm telling you, it would make a difference. Travis would have hunted that play down.
Yeah,
he definitely would have hunted that play down. That was an important block.
It's one of our few blocks in the second half that didn't get called back for a penalty. So,
yeah, boy, but there was a hold on the outside. I was noticing that. Did you see that?
Well, it probably got called.
Probably don't really matter.
So, anyways, those are just a compilation of just what I consider effort plays.
How crazy is it that we win a game and you could point out so many things we didn't do very well.
Sure.
We can point out a ton of stuff where it's like we left points on the field and blah, blah, blah. We do that in the past. That's why we lost. We're doing it now. We still won by 18.
Yeah. Were you
surprised?
I'm
a big fan of that.
Were you surprised by the score or the dominance or the large victory? I
said it on the show the week prior. I said I didn't think it was going to have to be that close. I didn't understand why nobody was talking about our lines, and we were only talking about 2 wide receivers and a quarterback, and a cornerback who plays with. I'm like, that just didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, your whole team's trash. You can't protect and you can't rush. So why am I so? There's nothing. I told you. I mean, I'm not right a lot. So again. Don't take that with a grain of salt, but I'm not that surprised. I really am not. I thought maybe no. I thought maybe we'd throw more. I thought maybe we get some more passing yards, but
during our tailgate there with Husk guys and all the guys I mentioned at the beginning, I tongue in cheek, I was saying 52-7, which is a play on the 1992 score, but I really thought that we were going to win convincingly. I really thought that we would win by multiple touchdowns. And I thought that our defense could just be really physical against them. And, maybe they score 20, maybe, but I wasn't going to be shocked if they were held to 17 or 14 or, 7. That would have been nice, right? Well, they got 10.
Yeah.
Physical football still wins. You still can play that in this day and age, even with targeting penalties and all the things they've done, different calls to try to protect players more. You can still be a physical team and win. We've seen that enough in the last 10 years in the Big Ten, where we would lose to teams playing a style of ball that was very familiar to us years prior. And so that's very important to Rule. Rule has wanted – you don't play physical like that just on Saturday. You've been doing that now consistently for 20 months since he got here. It's the same thing when we lost Oklahoma bad a couple years ago and they get rid of Shenander at that point, and then Bill Bush becomes defensive coordinator. He's like, well, hey, we should start tackling in practice. And the player's like, yeah, we haven't done that in a couple years. Right. Oh, no. Oh, no, that's a problem. Yeah, you've got to catch up in a hurry if that's what's happening. I remember when we lost to Iowa that one year, and Mark Banker's, our defensive coordinator, sitting there saying they must have bloodbaths for practices. Well, what are we doing? And that's what I think that Rule has done such a good job of, is instilling that toughness and that physicality and attention to detail. And really, honestly, there's nothing sexy about this. Make good blocks, tackle the guy in front of you. Like, it's got to drive him crazy when he sees Nair missing that block. Like, that's an easy play. Even against a great corner, that's still an easy play to at least touch him.
Oh, yeah.
And
it looked like a missed assignment.
And that's just it's a basic, team. And by the way, that's losing football. When you miss blocks like that, or when you fumble in the 5-yard lane, like Dowdell did in the first game, when Dowdell jumped into the end zone and scored, but fumbled the ball after, so he scored a touchdown. But again, there is a Rule in his presser saying the points. Yeah, I mean, he's like, I'm not focused on the points that we scored. I'm focused on the process, and the process was you still fumbled after you jumped into there. What are you doing jumping into there? And he wants that process fixed. We shouldn't be doing that. And that can lead to a loss down the road. That can lead to a bad play down the road. And so these are all fixable moments, and we're going to get better from it. And I'm glad we're not playing a perfect game right now, because I want things like this getting cleaned up.
We absolutely have to clean that stuff up we're doing. We're not so good that we can keep doing that kind of thing and hope to win, very consistently. That's going to have to be fixed by like Big Ten play. But that's the good news, though. I think you get those assignments fixed, those stupid penalties. I guess we can talk about special teams at some point, but on the offense, the wide receivers making the blocks they're supposed to, the wide receivers running hard on their routes, making that kind. We don't need any more offense. We don't, the personnel will be fine. We don't need to do any more. Like, it's just tuning into the things that we do and making sure they're running fine.
Yeah.
And that will be enough to be I feel like with our defense, if we can tune the offense up a little bit, where we're just being efficient to slightly explosive, but the whole time physical, an efficient, physical, slightly explosive offense is kind of what I'm looking for this year. And that would be enough to win a lot of damn games with the defense the way it's playing. However, but there's this thing. There is this one thing. The special teams is a real wild card in this son of a bitch. I can't count on these guys. Don't like the feeling. What? It's a problem. I don't know if you want to jump into special teams yet, but the special teams.
I mean, do you want to touch special teams right now? We haven't hit defense yet, so we can end with defense.
That'd be. Yeah.
Do you want to touch?
Yeah. Let's just
touch special teams. By the way, Tony made a good point here. He goes, you can see he's treating them more like professional athletes this year. I think that's an interesting point there.
They kind of are.
Yeah. I mean, so let's look at. I do have here. I'll show one play. This was actually a defensive one I was going to show. It's a punt. But there's a reason I was going to show it with the defense. But anyways, this is at least an example here. This is us punting them down to the 2-yard line. So there's one play. I'll go back off of that. There's one example of a good play.
Better.
We blocked a field goal. Yeah. So we had a few things that went well there, but we gave up a long kick return. And we
had a punt blocked.
Yeah,
and we missed a field goal.
And we missed an easy field goal.
We missed a field goal, had a punt blocked, and gave up a huge return, 1-18. That's against a Power 5 team. Or Power 4 team.
Yeah.
That's new. That's new.
Yeah. And when you're in those tight games and chasing 3, the whole concept of that is that, special teams are going to be the ones that come in and you're going to win those games, those tight games by playing great special teams. Think of Iowa over the years, that they could have a horrendous offense, but their defense plays good enough,
Yeah.
and then their special teams comes in and makes that extra play. What would happen? What could happen with it? How good could this team be if special teams was playing at a level the way defense is? Could you imagine that?
That'd be pretty much that would change the conversation for the whole season. Honestly, it would.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would. Because you can get such a charge from your special teams. It can really ignite both offense and defense.
But one of the things I think that is going well with defense or with special teams, one of the things I like is I like their willingness to put some of the best players out there.
Yeah.
Mekhi Bear running down the field and just running dudes over on kickoffs. The guy that recovered that punt down there at the 2-yard line, that's Tommy Hill. There's a reason I'll show that in a second. They put some of the best players on it. Carter Nelson didn't play much in this game. In fact, barely played at all on offense. I don't think he played at all, but he's getting out there in special teams. Yeah. And that's a great way. That's an old school development way to get guys onto the field. You're going to play as special teamers, and then you'll graduate your way up there. Some of you guys
I love that idea.
Some of you guys might play earlier than others, but other freshmen, even if you're a big 4-star or big, whatever
you get to see
big time recruit,
speed.
you're going to come in there and get acclimate to the speed of the game,
speed and the size, the feel of the game. It's a great way to learn.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's go to defense here. And just like on offense, we started with an offensive play of the game. I'm going to call this one the defensive play of the game. We already saw it earlier because it was Shadur's lousy effort as a quarterback here. But what wasn't going on, besides him walking off the field, was the fact that this is a 4th and 1, and they tried to go right up the gut on us. We're up 7-0. So you get this first down, and they keep going. They could score. It would be 7-7. And
was the play prior them trying to kind of almost sneak it?
No, this was we got a sack on first down.
Okay.
And then they completed 2 passes to get it from 2nd and 20-ish down to a 4th and 1. And they were going to try to go right up the gut. And they had a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1 against North Dakota State that they couldn't get right up the gut. And here they tried it again, and there was just nowhere to go. But it was Mekhi Bear that went right up the middle here and makes the tackle in the backfield. And what I like about the tackle too, they said they stopped him. They stopped him at the line. I was like, this was not the line. This is 2 yards in the backfield. But he stood him up.
Yeah, he did.
This wasn't took the hit and then fell backwards a yard. They stood him straight up. This reminds me of Levante David against Penn State back in 2011 on a 4th and short. Just stood a guy up and didn't give up any ground at all.
I honestly question how good Colorado is, though. I mean, I do. This game is very satisfying, but I look at their guys and they're small, they're light, they go nowhere when you hit them. This is a great game, and it was super fun to watch. It's going to jump up a notch when we get to Big Ten, Yeah, and so I think the defense will be fine and everything like that. But I mean, it's just maybe the Big 12 is a different game. Maybe they'll do all right there. Colorado's got some.
I think
Colorado's got some problems.
What we saw Nebraska do a year ago defensively gives me a lot of comfort for how we'll do as we get into the Big Ten play 2 against running teams.
100% agree. It's all the same guy.
All the same guys. They're just that much better. And Nash and Ty are this is
monsters.
Enjoy this, folks, fans. Anyone that was alive in the 90s and loved it when you had the Peter brothers in the middle, like we've got a couple dudes.
Are they called anything? I mean, if they Twin Towers is so lame if that's what they say, but I mean, they need a name. These 2 guys, you're right. This is as good as Peter Wistrom. This is a good combo of dudes. This is like
when playing Sue, at a different level.
When Sue was here with who's the
Crick. Yeah,
like that kind of level. I mean, obviously Sue. I'm not saying anybody's Sue, but we at least got 2 Cricks out there.
Yeah,
those are some good, and they're getting better off the line. They're becoming more of a problem in the backfield. They're getting held with regularity, and no one's saying anything about it.
Yeah, well, it's just becoming a part of the game now. It's just accepted.
I did hear some. I listened to a Colorado radio station call in. This is part of my, my social dive. But they talked about Ty, and he's like, he's a gorilla. That guy's just a monster. He was unblockable. Couldn't do anything with him. It was one of the first times I'd heard Colorado not complain that it was scheme or something stupid, but actually giving some of our players credit, because that's really what they should have come out of that game doing, going, damn, Nebraska's got some boys. And when they don't turn it over, they're a problem. And because we do. Tommy Hill is a fella. The guys on the line are all fellas. Bullock had himself a game. Umam yelling, that picture right there.
Yeah,
Everybody flashed. What do we have? 6 or how many sacks do we have? 6?
Yeah, we had
Six
six
guys.
on top of 8 last year. And the thing is, like Shadur, when he basically threw his offensive line under the bus, and Adam Carricker went off on Shadur today, and on social media. It was a really good minute video that he did. But like some of the things Shadur said weren't necessarily wrong.
He didn't say anything wrong.
But you don't say it. And
you should say it to his dad who recruited him.
And there's a part of me that it's like, I could feel for a guy getting beat up the way he was in the backfield, having no time with Ty and Nash. I could feel for a guy having that happen to him if the photo that we're seeing right now on the screen didn't also happen. These guys asked for all of this.
Oh yeah,
they asked for.
They 100% do, and that's why there's no. Dion was the one saying we keep receipts. Dion was the one saying he's going to make.
They're disrespected.
They were the one telling us how these Jackson State boys are going to walk all. Come on, and we're still talking about them. They've got 5 wins since he's been there. 5. That's what are we talking about? They're not doing well. The program doesn't look good now. Do they have all the hype in the world? And that's worth some money in college football right now. That does have some value to it. And I'm not saying Prime could never get it turned around, but to act like it was a 2-year rebuild when you haven't addressed the lines and you haven't done anything but portal dive.
That's where some Colorado fans are finally starting to come around, is that was the importance of this game. Was it was 2 coaches in their second seasons of rebuilds, and they took very clear different approaches. And that's what I was saying all offseason, that this wasn't just a difference of X's and O's. It was a difference of style, of approach, how you build a program. And if we lost and we played poorly against Colorado, like it would have really disturbed me in the sense of like,
it would have
that shouldn't have happened.
Agreed.
I mean, we all believe that Rule's doing all these right things, that it should start to manifest itself in wins. And holy smokes, folks, we might be starting to see that, but they got to keep getting better. Let's keep going with some of the plays here. This is the Princewell sack, which, by the way, gets called back on a very loose. I've watched this one over and over and over again, and I mean, it is a loose offsides to call on James Williams. But one of the things I'd like to touch on with this is who's on the defensive line here. We have Robinson.
The one thing, though, flag don't take away the hit, though, does it?
No, it doesn't. But it's James Williams, it's Princewell, it's Butler, and it's Robinson. So it's just a 4-man rush, although everything looks like it's more guys. It looks like more blitzers than there are because they're stand-up guys and stuff. They're moving around. But this 3-3-5 lets you bring what looks like more players. But at the end of the day, it's just 4. Mm-hmm. And in this case, we only have one guy who's over 260 on the field there, Robinson. Yeah. Then you have, Butler, and then you have Princewell, who's now up to 245, and he covers a lot of ground. Ooh. Oh my gosh, he is athletic. We saw it last week with one of the plays that we highlighted where he had to make up ground on the guy and did with no, with ease. But James Williams, man, that dude, if he wants to get around offensive tackles, he seems to be able to do it.
What a fun tool. What a fun guy to have. Yeah, just to kind of throw in there. What do they? I think they have a name. What do they call it? Their Porsche package or something like that. They have a name for that.
Oh,
when
they
put that particular group in, I think with Princewell and Williams in there. But those guys are. We've got pass rushers this year, Matthew.
Oh, dude, you could. We saw a play. There's a sack that MJ Sherman had. On
he could have thrown. He could have thrown to the guy doing the little dig right there. Almost immediately, except for the pressure was already there. Mm-hmm. Like that was open. You can watch a guy like you think he turns in on like the 30.
Yes,
that's there.
Yes, right there.
Now.
I mean,
he could throw it.
Maybe he would have had probably Princewell. Maybe Princewell could have got his hands up and knocked it down if he would have tried to. But yeah, you're right.
There was like no time.
It's relentless. And then take one of those guys off and put Leonard on the field. Mm-hmm. The freshman All-American defensive lineman from a year ago. And these guys look developed. If they've only been in the program for 2 years, like Leonard or Princewell have, or James Williams or Kai Wallen when they throw him out there, those guys already look 260 and 255.
I think Princewell's just going to develop into a stud. I think when it's all said and done,
Randy Gregory.
This kid's just scratching the surface.
He's a Randy Gregory kind of talent.
He's going to be a stud.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like Leonard's almost kind of there physically wise. Like he's built like a man. His game will develop, but I think Princewell's got some a little weight yet. Still, I think he's going to get a little more explosive. He's going to be problematic.
So the last plays I want to show here, I showed it a little bit earlier. This is the punt. And the significance of this, it was a great punt by Buschini. He got down to the 3-yard line, but it's also the guy that's downing it.
Mm-hmm.
Who's downing it? Tommy Hill.
Tommy Hill, who got high
Tommy
five
Hill.
by Ramir Johnson.
What's the next play from the 1?
Oh, dear.
Here's Shedeur in the end zone. You got pressure coming off the backside.
He says,
And there's Tommy Hill.
let's skip the paps into the end zone.
The prior play
skip into there.
It's so cool. I mean, so the prior play, he's downing the ball at the 1. Here he is doing a pick 6. Now, if you listen to the live radio version, all kinds of credit.
Was Colt McCoy alive? Because that dude sounded.
We should have, man. Anytime. I mean, we should be listening to Greg Sharp and Damon Benning, anyways. But
yeah, the way they sync up TV now, it sucks to do that. But
we should have. But Damon immediately jumped on. What a great job number 5 Bullock does here. And so you look at the bottom here, the bottom hash mark, and how Bullock took away Hunter on that slant.
Mm-hmm.
So there's your quick pass if you're Shedeur, but Bullock takes that away.
Yep.
Shedeur's standing in the pocket going, I'm going to get nailed in 3 seconds or 2 seconds, 1 second, whatever. I've got to get rid of it. I can't throw it off to the guy that I want to, my dump off guy here on a slant.
Yeah.
So yeah, you look at, I mean, think about how good Bullock is here in zone. Nobody's going to take Bullock covering Hunter man to man.
There was nowhere to go.
There's no one's going to say, hey, put Bullock on Hunter and go have him go cover the guy for 100 yards. But in that play, in that scenario, the way that Bullock just understood positioning, he understood where he was on the field. He knew how to stand in front of Hunter. He takes away Hunter. And then you end up having Shedeur just making just a terrible decision. But that is a hard.
His only other option is just to chuck it a mile, though, because he was a half second from being sacked.
So the other option would have been to chuck it a mile, and he should have. Like that's a bad play on his part.
As soon as he sees that Bullock sat on that, he should have thrown away right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got a little greedy. There's nowhere to go.
And is that not the easiest looking pick 6 you've ever seen in Memorial Stadium?
Well, there was that one Tanner Lee threw to the other team.
No, I mean that we got.
Oh yeah, is that one he threw? I was like, wow,
almost
on a platter there, Tanner. But for the good guys, yeah, that was pretty sweet. I like that one a lot.
Moving forward, so we have Northern Iowa coming in, and I think this is an interesting game for a couple of reasons. Rule talked about the style difference. We played 2 spread teams that have come in here and they want to throw it all over the field. And now we're going to play a FCS team that is it's a top 25 FCS team. It's a top 10 rushing team in the FCS. They have a 240-pound running back. I mean, they want to, I think they've ran it like 85 times the first 2 games. So they want to run the football. It's probably going to have a little more of a Big Ten look to it. And so at the very least, it's something different that we have to prepare for.
That should go horribly for them.
I
mean, honestly, if that's what they do best, that shouldn't go very well at all. Okay, are we going to believe in this team or not? Because if we do, and we're saying this defense is good, this isn't going to go well for Northern Iowa. It should be a very bad game.
Well, it's interesting because I was watching a little bit of the Wisconsin-South Dakota game last week, and that was a close game going into the 4th quarter, I believe. But what I was watching was like in the middle of the game, and there was a couple of drives where South Dakota's run right down the field on them. FCS teams doing that. We've seen North Dakota State obviously do that against Colorado, and
they had better not.
But I'd be shocked if, even with the team that's what they want to do, and I don't think Northern Iowa is going to come out and shock us throwing the ball around and being able to trick us with anything. I mean, I think they're going to try to run it right at us. We're built to stop. We are built to be. For as good as we are, sacking the guys and getting pressure on quarterbacks and all that, we're built to be a good run stop defense.
The dudes are big up front there. I mean,
oh my goodness,
we got some fellas. I really hope I don't have to worry about that with this team. Every week answers another question. Every week's an opportunity to grow. I think we'll get another question answered this week. I mean, I never paid that much attention to Pro Football Focus for those ratings or anything
Sure.
like that until I like one.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
pretty consistent about that. But Tommy Hill's rating this week was pretty solid. I think it was like an 89 or something like that. And according to everyone in the world, the week prior, we were going up against the best wide receiver unit / quarterback in the country. You know, top 2 draft picks right there. And he came out and responded with the best like coverage rating. I think he had the highest one in the Big Ten, but very good. So that question kind of got answered a little bit, I think, on our secondary, right? Like our secondary is pretty good because our line's pretty good, you know? And oh man, I think it's going to be a long game for those guys. Or maybe not. Maybe because they run the ball, it'll go quicker.
Well, tomorrow night we'll do our weekly Redcast. So Boomer and Redcast Abby, Redcast Rob will join me, and we will do our Husker Max stats, stat comparison, see where we are nationally. Now that we have a couple games under us, we'll also have our Husker Max predictions that we do. So that'll be some fun. And then again on Thursday night we have a Husker huddle where Redcast Abby, she's going to be bringing on Amy Just of the Lincoln Journal-Star sports columnist. We'll also do a volleyball segment tomorrow night, no doubt, to cover what we just did tonight, beating Creighton 3-2. Could have been a sweep, but ended up 3-2. So, anyways, it's a busy week of Redcast there in that sense. Mac, let's do some parting shots. What do you got?
Parting shots. Yeah, I think I'm gonna throw my lot in with Matt Rule, and we had the night game with Colorado. That was great. Can we get him back to day games? Some of us work nights, and like I'll be damned if we finally have a good team and we're playing all these games. We'll have it work. Let's fix that. And Husker fans, I think we might have ourselves something here. This is going to be pretty fun. It's fun to talk football. It's fun to bitch about things during a win. It's fun to talk about a team that's got some really good players on there doing really big things in really big games.
Yeah.
So, and clearly looking around college football, it is wide open. Wide open. There's the supreme teams are far and few. So we could definitely be one of the teams that makes noise. That doesn't seem out of the realm to me at all.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about all I got. How about you, Matthew?
Well, I love the fact that we have about 1,400 people that are following us at 10:40 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Because we're winning. Because we're winning. Thank you so much, Redcasters, for being a part of this. Mac, we just went over 34,000 in Redcast Nation. We just jumped Kearney to become the 5th largest city in the state. Grand Island, we're next, or you're next. It's going to take a while. That's Grand Island. Grand Island's a big jump from Kearney.
See what happens when we get to 6-0. See what happens when we get to 6-0. Because like the rest of the country is starting to learn. What's that, Matt? Matt's rule.
GVR. Go Big Red.
A Herd at Sports Network production.